First, the name of the Right Honourable Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Does he stand by all of his government statements and actions?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Yes, and especially our action to crack down on gang activity. At midnight tonight, a raft of tough new laws will take effect. Gang insignia will be banned in all public places, courts will be able to issue non-consorting orders, and police will be able to stop criminal gang members from associating and communicating. Greater weight will also be given to gang membership at sentencing, enabling courts to impose more severe punishments. Gangs aren't community groups, they're not Rotary. They thrive on destroying the lives of other New Zealanders, whether that's by peddling drugs or through brutal acts of violence that leave communities in fear. We promise to restore law and order, and tomorrow police will have more powers to do exactly that.
Supplementary question. Does he stand by his statement, quote, Casey Costello is very focused on lowering smoking rates and I'm comfortable, end quote. If so, is he comfortable with the news that both daily smoking and vaping rates have risen under his watch, with 16,000 more daily smokers?
Well, I'll just say the Minister is working incredibly hard to make sure that we deliver on Smoke-Free 2025, but we know that the last group of smokers to come off daily smoking is going to be incredibly hard to move, but we've got a great plan and we're working hard at it.
Supplementary. Does he stand by his statement that he and Casey Costello will, quote, deal with that really hardcore group of smokers as we try and get that target down to 5%? All she's done is propose alternatives, end quote. If so, if it's to target that hardcore group, proposing so-called alternatives working?
Well, what I'd say to the member is we're very focused on 4 attempts as we try and deal with this last hardcore group of smokers. That involves us increasing quit attempts. It means that we're improving access to quit support. It means that we're supporting people to stay smoke-free, and we're going to reduce the uptake of smoking.
Supplementary question.
One more here.
What is the return on investment on the $216 million tax break to tobacco companies his government has given, apparently to encourage smokers to quit, when it's demonstrably failed with the first rise in daily smokers in New Zealand's recent history?
Well, again, the member has difficulty understanding economics, and that was clearly obvious by the economic mess that he left behind after 6 years in government. What we have accrued, as you know, is an accrual, an accounting accrual essentially, for a loss of excise tax should we be super successful in taking people off cigarettes into alternatives. That's a good thing. We're just making sure that we are fiscally prudent, managing the economy well, as we do, instead of the mess that you left behind.
Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How difficult is it, Prime Minister, for someone to work out if the last calculation accurately at the time was 6 million, it could never get to 216 million the next day in the way that that last question was phrased, and second, that we are in the first 3 in the world, or the best 3 performers in the world, because of legislation written by New Zealand First and not the Labour Party?
Well, I would just pick up on that point that the member raises, which is that when you look at comparable smoking rates from around the world, the UK sits at 11.9, the US at 11.6, Canada at 8.3, Australia 8.3, and we're at 6.9. We're making good progress.
Supplementary question. So is he asserting the fact that more people are smoking now than when he became Prime Minister, and the government is therefore collecting more tax from that, a sign of success?
No, what we're saying is that we have more work to do with a very strong cohort of daily smokers. We need to redouble our efforts, work even harder. It's a harder task, but we're doing everything we can to do that.
Supplementary question. Will he admit that he was wrong to submit to New Zealand First and scrap New Zealand's world-leading smoke-free legislation, just as he was wrong to submit to the ACT Party and support the Treaty Principles Bill?
I'll reject the characterisation of that question. I'm proud of our coalition partners, and I'm proud of the work that this coalition government is doing to clean up the ungodly mess that that member left behind after 6 years of economic mismanagement, letting crime get out of control and delivering worse outcomes for New Zealanders.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. What does it say about his negotiating skills, or indeed his priorities, that he's willing to provoke conflict between the Crown and Māori and increase the number of Kiwi smokers just to form a coalition with parties who had nowhere else to go anyway?
I reject the characterisation of that question.
Yeah, I bet he does.